Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I like to discuss an article in which Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's appeal to Conservatives to stick with him is explained. And what I found particularly interesting is how similar his pitch is to Rishi Sunak's. He's an incredibly senior member of the government who thinks he should remain in his powerful position simply because there are worse choices to fill it. What a frankly pathetic attitude. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel. So, Rishi Sunak earlier on, and now Jeremy Hunt. It's almost like no member of the cabinet really understands anything about strategy. Fairly recently, we were treated to another senior member of the government, Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, actually begging Rishi Sunak to let him keep his job publicly at a conference in America thousands of miles away. I discussed my disdain for that pathetic display at the time. Now Jeremy Hunt seems to be doing something very similar, albeit a little bit slyer. He's doing it without being quite so tragic. According to an analysis piece in The Guardian, Jeremy Hunt seems to think that Sunak might be tempted to replace him with someone of greater political stature ahead of the election. Not necessarily this autumn, according to the author of the analysis, but ahead of the election. Now, I can see the potential sense in this for Sunak and the Conservative Party in general. One of the weaknesses I've talked about with the Tories during both the local election campaign in May and the recent by-elections last month was the absence of big hitters on the campaign trail. The Conservatives do not seem capable of getting appealing characters out there to persuade voters to turn out for them. Senior cabinet positions give ministers a platform from which a canny political operator can build up a public image which works in the party's favour at the election. Sunak has very few of these in cabinet. They sort of melt away into the background. They're either terrible at campaigning or they just can't be bothered. Sometimes both. And Jeremy Hunt is a very unpopular Chancellor with the public. As things currently stand, the Tories will be losing all of the polling battles. The Conservatives are less popular than Labour, Sunak is less popular than Starmer, and Hunt is less popular than Reeves. The nightmare trifactor for the Tories. So there is sense in letting Hunt preside over the current economic malaise, and then, when things can hardly get any worse, replace him with someone with more personality to be the new Broom. That Conservative, to appeal to some Conservative voters into thinking that, oh, this is the change that will sort everything out. But, oh, no, we've got to have an election. So you're just going to have to vote for the Conservatives again to see the wondrous results. Only Jeremy Hunt doesn't seem keen on this idea. He made a public statement that the economic plan was working and the government need to stick to that plan, not veer around like a shopping trolley. Now, it was pointed out in the article, this is a reference to Dominic Cummings referring to Boris Johnson as a shopping trolley for his, chaotic nature. Now, I first of all have to ask what it is about these senior Tories. Have they ever actually been shopping? Like, I've been handling shopping trolleys ever since I was 18 and off to university. I've never had a single one veer off anywhere. You might get the odd one where the wheel sticks, and then some effort is required. But the trolley still goes where you want it to. Maybe, can you imagine the scene in supermarkets if trolleys were going around like dodgems? I don't know, maybe the shopping trolleys in Harrods are all death traps or something, who knows? But anyway, my main reaction to the statement is to reflect on what he said about the plan working. What plan? And I am being serious. What is the plan? I've never actually heard Hunt or any other senior Tory say what the plan is when asked by a journalist. And they are asked what the plan is, and they never say. They're quite happy to say what the plan isn't. Oh, it's not doing any number of things that Labour want to do. But never mind what the plan isn't, what is it? What is Jeremy Hunt actually doing? As far as I can tell, what Jeremy Hunt did when he replaced Kwasi Kwarteng as Chancellor was to prepare a budget that was accompanied by a report from the Office for Budgetary Responsibility. That calmed markets down because what upset the markets was presenting a budget that was completely uncosted and had no independent analysis. Well, with the exception of Kwarteng himself, every Tory Chancellor going right back to George Osborne in 2010 has been doing that. That's normal. That's not anything extra. What else has Hunt done? Nothing. Nothing as far as I can tell. Not of any use anyway. Seems to me that Jeremy Hunt's pitch to stay in the job is that he isn't Kwasi Kwarteng. As if the only alternative to Jeremy Hunt is to put Kwasi Kwarteng back there. It's very much the same as Rishi Sunak's pitch to be Prime Minister, being he's not Boris Johnson. Except Sunak is at least on stronger ground when he uses that argument, because there's no credible alternative to Sunak. You know, his closest rival is someone whose only claim to fame is being able to hold a sword upright. As tragic as it must seem to vaguely intelligent Conservatives, Sunak is the best they have in the current circumstances. There is no alternative. But there are several MPs who could credibly become Chancellor, and all of them would be more than happy to present budgets which are accompanied by an analysis from the OBR. Some of them may even have some political skills as well. I think Hunt needs to do something else in this argument. His main argument is that the government need to stick to the plan, and that would be a sensible appeal if it had a plan. And I'm not being remotely glib when I say there isn't one. Like, think about it. They're going about inflation all the time. So what's their plan for inflation? To let the Bank of England keep raising interest rates, and for them to encourage wage suppression by keeping public sector pay down. That's not a plan. That's inaction masquerading as strategy. What's the plan to boost the economy? Encourage retirees to do crap jobs for crap pay. What's the plan to boost tax revenues, giving the wealthy more tax cuts? Their latest thinking is maybe to get rid of inheritance tax, literally a tax on something you didn't earn. Now, the only way Tory MPs could be persuaded that replacing Hunt would be risky is if the public had confidence in Hunt and they saw an attempt to remove him as chaotic. Now, there's always a risk when you replace a Chancellor. There needs to be a reason for it, but given that the public have no regard for Hunt personally, his personal approval ratings are very low. And they're certainly not happy with the government's work on the economy. I'm not sure it's a risk at all replacing him. Now, of course, Jeremy Hunt knows his colleagues, I suppose. I don't. Maybe these are the sorts of arguments that will work on them. But if they are, all I can say is there is a desperate lack of political and critical thinking on the Conservative benches. But then I've thought that for a while. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.